So TOMSKA just released the MUFFIN song, which on the surface seems like another song to cash in on a staple asdfmovie running joke and sell t-shirts, but on closer inspection, there are a few things worth noting about this video. First off, the song's made by the Gregory Brothers, which, along with asdfmovie and TOMSKA, was a huge part of what I was watching on YouTube 7 years ago. And secondly, the video isn't just about the suicidal muffin we all know and love. 40 seconds in, it transitions into songifying other asdfmovie segments, encompassing way more of the series than any of the other songs have. It starts to feel like a history of asdfmovie, and then a minute later, it transitioned into being a literal history of asdfmovie, showing Tom's journey with it behind the scenes. And it doesn't shy away from Tom's struggles with alcoholism, gaining weight, and depression. I, like many others I'm sure, stumbled upon TOMSKA through asdfmovie 2 back in the day. Then I found Eddsworld and got big into that, along with Tom's early sketches and later on his vlogs, and recently with Last Week. Up until about 4 months back, I was loyally watching every week, but then I got busy with college and just couldn't keep up, and as my watch later gradually filled up, that backlog of videos got more and more intimidating. But his main channel videos I kept watching because, hey, I've got time for 2 minutes. So, the Muffin song? Sure, why not? Hey, it's Schmoyoho, that's cool. Cut to the next day and I'm still watching it. I've gotten back into Last Week and I'm now writing a video about it because I think it could be interesting to dig into the symbolism in this video and see what I can interpret about it. And I'd just like to emphasize that word. This is just my interpretation and what I've taken away from the video. I'd love to hear in the comments if you see it differently. So, let's address the elephant in the room. This is a fun, catchy, cartoon song about suicide. In 2013, Tom uploaded a video to his second channel called I Am Depressed, where he talked about being diagnosed with clinical depression. This was 13-year-old me's introduction to mental health, and of course it changed my perception of Tom and his videos. But here's a part of that video that's particularly relevant to the Muffin song.
I went to the doctor and they gave me this form, and it was like all these feelings, and it was like, do you often feel worthless? Do you often feel like a failure? And I was going through all these things being like, yes, 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 oh, this is bad. And it was only, the only one that I didn't like tick yes on was a question that was, do you often have thoughts about killing yourself? To which, no, I maybe a lot of things, but suicidal is not one of them. The closest I get to a suicide is in my videos and in my cartoons. And a lot of you have kind of noticed the influx of suicide jokes in my videos lately.
Goodbye, world. I'm gonna jump.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, honey.
But I wanna die.
Yeah. Bye, Brian.
Don't jump! You have so much to live for!
Why won't you let me die? Who wants a muffin?
I'll kill you, Chris. Not if I kill myself first. Two can play that game.
Nobody kill me!
I love you. I'm sorry, my love.
The murderer appears to have tied this poor man to the ceiling.
Don't jump! Okay, don't jump!
I don't want to be fat anymore.
Yeah, and I hate this, but I genuinely believe that was subconscious. But please, no one think that I am at any risk of that. That is not true. The problem is not that I want to die. It's just that I just don't care about being alive anymore.
Tom was having a really hard time, and as a comedian, that influenced the kinds of jokes he was making. Meanwhile, here's a video about a muffin that expresses its suicidal thoughts through a song and dance routine for our amusement, with a smile plastered on its face all the while. That dance routine, by the way, as is later made more clear when Tom himself joins in, is concluded with dabbing, drinking, and playing dead, which, if you're familiar with Tom's vlogs or his main channel sketches, you'll know he likes him some dank memes.
Oh shit, what's up?
He often makes light of his alcohol problems, and for someone who doesn't actually have suicidal thoughts, he sure does pretend to die a whole lot in his videos. So let's take a look at when it switches to literally representing Tom's life. We see him making asdfmovie, and he's happy. He finds success on YouTube, manages to turn it into a source of income for him and his friends, and so of course he keeps making asdfmovies. More and more people are shown crowding around asdfmovie, represented as a stand at a convention, and we see the passing of Tom's friend Ed Gould, creator of Eddsworld and the voice of the I Like Trains kid. His death is shown as him disappearing from the background, a very subtle depiction of a very intense and traumatic event in Tom's life. Then we see Tom slowly becoming more and more And he's saying it, so I hope it isn't rude for me to repeat it. Fat, sad, and alone. And then that cheerful chorus comes in again, proudly singing I Wanna Die as Tom starts dancing along. What comes next is a pretty packed scene, so let me start with the music. Sarah Gregory sings the only original verse in the song with the lyrics,
Even though letting go feels right, I can't afford to say goodbye.
My personal interpretation of this is that Tom wants to leave asdfmovie behind as a part of his life and an aspect of his sense of humor that he's since moved on from, but asdfmovie is also by far his most popular creation and the most certain source of income to support him and everyone that helps him, so he can't just walk away from it.
You and I are bound together, especially since cartoons live forever.
It's worth noting that the animated videos on TOMSKA are by and large more popular than his live-action sketches. They even made a running joke on last week out of the fact that a lot of kids write to Tom saying he's their favorite animator, which he hates because it means the actual animators he hires don't get any credit. And he gets this a lot, not just from kids.
Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm not a fucking animator!
Okay, so in this scene, Tom's character is more detailed than he was before, no longer being shown in the asdf art style. It's not quite the same, but when I first saw this version of Tom, it reminded me of the Tom that Sophie Fletcher drew in TOMSKA is Sad, a mini-comic about Tom's depression that, if you're interested, you should go check out on Tumblr. I take this shift in art style to mean that since we aren't seeing an asdf version of Tom, and since this whole scene is shown with an overlay of static, much like that plays in between the jokes in asdfmovie, this is supposed to be taking place outside of that world, or away from an audience, so Tom is alone with the suicidal muffin. And now for the most heartbreaking goddamn thing Tom's ever made, and there's some tough competition for that. The muffin's cheerful facade breaks, and he starts bawling his eyes out. Around others, he plays it up and acts silly about his feelings, but when the camera's off, this muffin is still broken and unhappy. And that's the saddest metaphor about a muffin I've ever heard. Then they look up, and what's that on the horizon? Oh, it's the sheep from, Beep Beep I'm a Sheep, which became a really big meme for some reason. This is where I think it's worth mentioning Tom's companion video to this song, which went up on his second channel, Do I Hate asdfmovie, because the end of that video is all about how he's unsatisfied with asdfmovie 10, the most recent installment and the one that exploded Beep Beep I'm a Sheep, but also how that's motivated him to try harder with the next asdfmovie.
I do want to make an asdfmovie 11 because I love the challenge of it. I love the challenge of being able to tap into my younger sensibilities and evolve a little bit comedically and keep this series going. That's the hard bit. You know, the hard bit originally was, can I make a viral hit? And now it's, can I keep this going? Can I still do it? And I'm, I guess, feeling kind of, in a way, demoralized because I don't like asdfmovie 10 anymore, but also inspired because I want to outdo myself.
The sheep is a particularly good representation of his disappointment with asdfmovie 10, because it started out as a running joke in last week, and after putting it in asdfmovie, he has since decided that he botched the timing of that joke.
The first bit was supposed to be like, one sheep goes, beep, beep, I'm a sheep. I said, beep, beep, I'm a sheep. And then after a pause, another one joins in and they do it together. And then when it gets to the second time and they're all doing it, it like has built up to it more in a way. And I just kind of bonked up my own delivery.
But what does that matter? It landed Tom 26 million views and a furry subgenre. Huh. So, in the Muffin song, as Tom and the Muffin look on at the sheep, it's with annoyance and indifference, but from that comes a renewed motivation to go out there and keep doing what they're doing, because they know that together they can do it better, and now Tom's back in the asdf art style and the static has disappeared. He's ready to keep going, not just because he has to, but because he wants to do better. And that's how I read the Muffin song. If, for whatever reason, you enjoyed hearing me talk about this, you can watch more of my videos right there. Adieu.
We're all gonna die, die, die.
It's muffin time.